it's just like it's going to be very difficult to do because of the margin of error, right? Like it's hard to not have so, especially in an emotional game, to not make mistakes, right? You get out there, offensive lineman, you're ready to do that first hit. You're going to run the football, and you get a little jumpy, false start, right? Now it's first and 15, right? Like it doesn't take much to make mistakes, right? And the point is that Michigan just can't afford as many mistakes as Ohio State can. Now, just because we're giving Ohio State, I want people who to really listen. Just because we're giving Ohio State this bigger margin of error and this credit, it's not saying Ohio State doesn't have its own weaknesses. They do.
Correct.
Their defense isn't stout. You can move the ball on their defense, absolutely. And Michigan will put up points against this Ohio State defense. The problem will be once you get into a situation when the offensive side of the ball for Ohio State puts your offense in an uncharacteristic situation, right? Because you're trying to keep up with them, and all of a sudden everything gets out of whack, right? Because now your offense is ineffective, then that affects your defense. Now your defense is back on the field because your offense is going 3-and-out, or your offense makes turnover, and then it starts to snowball, right? Then all of a sudden they're breaking out, and this is in their Ohio State's A game. I'm trying to paint that kind of scenario. That's how you get down very quickly versus them, and it can happen, in a blink of an eye if you're not careful. So,
one caveat I will say, and sorry to any Michigan State fans in the chat, but Michigan State, their players look like they were scared, like, and not in like a fearful way, but in a way that like they just weren't executing with the same confidence that I've seen them play with before. Like they just didn't look that way. They look like we're kind of on pins and needles. Like we know if we make mistakes, like it's going to be bad. That's how I saw it. Like they did not look confident. That was not the Michigan State team that I saw play Michigan. They look like they were scared. And if Michigan has that type of attitude next week, then we can pack this up now. But I don't think they will. But that just, to me, it didn't look like, the Michigan State that was, talking about a fight and counter punches, all that stuff. That looked like that it didn't look good.
I think they were when it was 14-0 and they were driving. I think this is what broke them. They get down early 14-0, and then they start to drive actually pretty well on Ohio State. Kiddo Walker's having a few good runs. He's starting to get into the groove, as he always does. Jalen Reed's getting a few catches. Jalen Reed gets a pass from Peyton Thorne, a play they do all the time. I never know why a corner never reacts quick enough, but they do that back shoulder. Peyton Thorne throws the ball perfectly to Jalen Reed's back shoulder, and Jalen Reed, because they have this connection, knows to turn just at the right angle to catch it. He catches the ball. I think it's third down. They're driving down the field. He catches the ball. Matter of fact, that's a different play. It was a curl route. He catches the ball and instinctively trying to make a play, right? Tries to reach. And I actually thought it was a fumble. MSU actually dodged the bullet. But he tries to reach to get the first down, and they reached the route. They thought it should have been fumbled. They ruled an incomplete pass. Either way, it was 4 for 10. Their kicker, Conklin, is hurt, but he still played today, but it's not quite right. He misses the field goal, and I thought that play, because I thought if MSU scores there, 7-14, maybe you see a little bit more of a fight. But I thought once that happened and then Ohio State got the ball, they get down, score 21-zip, that was what broke them. That was it. What Ohio State did in that moment was what Michigan couldn't do effectively when we played them. Well, and I think part of it was MSU was at home, so I think it's easier to keep the fight where you're at home in your own barn as opposed to being away. And two, that final nail in the coffin, that stepping on the neck, Ohio State did that effectively. And the Spartans were demoralized once the first quarter ended. They were demoralized. Because they knew defensively, because Ohio State can do this that what Michigan can't do. Like defensively, we have no answer. We cannot stop them. We can't stop them. With Michigan, what MSU was able to do is, well, we know that they're not going, like, even though our corners is our secondary is our weakness, Michigan's not going to beat us explosively with the pass, right?
Right.
Not like that. And I think that was so demoralizing to him because it wasn't just like it was like death by 1,000 cuts. No, they were just chunking them to death, and there was just nothing they can do. Trust Michigan, we know that. We experienced that in 18 when we got the 60 burger put on us. I felt their pain. Not to that extent, it wasn't 49-0 at halftime, but I understood the feeling of hopelessness. Like it's a terrible feeling. And yeah, man. I mean, it won't happen next week unless it gets out of hand. But we'll see.
For sure. Want to take a quick note to just ask everyone to give us a thumbs up on this video. We've got about 215 people on the line right now, so we would definitely appreciate if you guys would all just give us a quick thumbs up. If you just like exit the video, thumbs up, come right back. Everything will be.
Des, question. Des, I gotta bring this. Can you do me a favor?
What?
Can you click on this comment by Havern Shred? Like I know I fall for the fake. I fall for the bait every time, but
You do.
Can I just read this? Because I love when people do this, and I get to because I want to have conversations with people like this because I just don't understand how they're hearing what we're saying, right?
Okay.
I just don't understand. Sometimes I feel like these guys aren't Michigan fans. It seems like they trash Michigan more than anything. What is trashing this? Like pointing out this team's strengths and weaknesses is not trashing them. As like we have said before, and I have said this, I've stopped the last couple of weeks as a disclaimer before every show. But I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah. You sound doing that, but
the way we judge this team on a week by week basis is with the expectation they are working towards winning a Big Ten title under year 7 under Jim Harbaugh because that should be the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when we are giving our analysis of thoughts on this team, it's based on what are the things they're doing well and the things they're not doing well enough to reach that goal. It's not.
At the end of the day, I mean, the season is culminating to one game, and it's the game. So, I mean, Havern, if you watched the noon game that we watched, Ohio State looks like they are rolling right now. Offensively, defensively, they played pretty well. Special teams, like they look like they were. I mean, Dre, would you dare to say flawless today? Like in their performance? Yeah, Ohio State, flawless. So, okay. So, Havern, what I would say is, what does a flawless Michigan game look like? Because I don't think they look like, beating the number 7 team 49-0 at halftime. So the idea is, well, what does that Michigan win need to look like? And I think we both agree, Dre, that it needs to look like controlling time of possession, running the ball well, like doing the things that Michigan wants to do on a consistent basis. They want to run the ball like that. So the time of we're going to all of a sudden come in and Cade's going to throw for 450 and 5 touchdowns like that. The time is gone for that. Like we had opportunity for that early on the season. That's gone. The only way that this is going to go the Wolverines' way next Saturday is running the ball effectively and Cade doing what Cade has done all season, which is protect the football, be very efficient in his decision making, and he's going through his reads and his progressions. That is what the win is going to look like. It's going to be the defense playing a hell of a football game. That's what it's going to look like.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to look any other way. It's mm-hmm. not going to look any other way.
Yeah. Like it's just, I think another thing too is, if you watch enough college football, not just Michigan, but it's across the country, after a while you get to understand what is a good team. What are solid teams, what are good teams, what are great teams, what are exceptional once every 4-year type teams, right? By the way, I don't think we have any kind of team like that this year. It turns into an exceptional team. Every team, even the better teams in around the country, all have flaws, right? And all can be beat with the right formula, right? No, there's no perfect team. There's no LSU of 2019. Okay, like that's just not this year.
Even Georgia, like and I don't know if we talked about it on the stream, but Georgia's not flawless. Defensively, they might be flawless, but with Stetson Bennett as your starting quarterback, you're not winning much of anything. And we saw that last year. Stetson Bennett couldn't beat the elite of the elite teams. And when it gets to, the playoff and conference championships, that's who you're playing. You're playing the teams that are playing the best. So even Georgia, that in all of their dominance in the games that they've played, they're not flawless. So to make it seem as if there's any team that would be silly. So in that token, anyone's beatable. Anybody is beatable.
Yeah. Yes. And it's about trying to paint a scenario based on your perception of a team, of what puts them in the best possible situation to win. Like I think if you go into these games, guys, if you go into these games, you're like, well, look, a win is a win. I don't really care about how it looks. Then I think you're setting yourself up with potential letdowns because you don't really know what your team is, right? You're just getting caught up in the fluff, the wins, and that's fine. You could be whatever kind of fan you want. There's no good or bad way to go about it. However, be happy. I'm just saying, but when you watch us on here, which we greatly appreciate, we want you guys to come back next year and follow us through the off season. Understand that we're coming from a place of trying to figure out how we can win everything, right? It's not just about let's do a hype show of highlights and talk about how great Michigan is. That's not what this is about. It's about how can we do things we haven't done before, right? Guys, I can't tell you enough. This is a rare opportunity. Des, you know this. You said this too. This is a rare window for Michigan to get this done. But guess what? Regression is coming. I'm not saying Michigan's going to be bad next year, but think about it, guys. Think about all we're losing, after this year.
Dax Hill, Aiden Hutchinson, Ajabo, Josh Ross.
Our biggest playmakers on defense, go to guys, right? That we know of, that we can depend on week to week. Those guys are gone, right? Either by graduation but most of them are all going to, well, maybe not Josh Ross, we'll see about him. But, all those guys, most guys going to get drafted high in the NFL draft, right? Offensively, we're losing Haskins. He might come back for, I think, a 6-year. He may have that he may take advantage of that eligibility option. But
think about it this way, Dre. Is his stock going to be any higher than it is now?
Probably not. No.
You know what I mean? If he wants to play in the NFL, and I don't know.
As a running back, no, and especially the way he runs the ball, like he has a limited window anyway. So he needs to.
It's not going to be any. His stock's not going to be any higher than it is right now. So if his goal is playing the NFL, I mean I guess he can't hire an agent, but I would assume the feedback he's going to get is you're probably a first or second round, draft pick, I would think. I mean,
yeah,
so that's the thing. Why? And if he does get that grade of a 1 or a 2, why would you come back to have another season of wear and tear on your body when you could go to the draft and get that in the NFL? You know what I mean? Like that's
get some money, that you can start your life with, And how about this, Trill City? Regression. You know how I know regression is coming? Because it's common freaking sense. You lose 4 or 5 of your biggest playmakers on defense, you're going to regress. Now, will they last all next season? I don't know. No one knows that. Why? Because we have to see who else steps up. But it's logical common sense that your biggest playmakers leaving your team is going to have a big impact.
Well, especially when you're talking about when you talk about NFL talent, like you have NFL guys who are leaving your team and going to the NFL. You're not going. You just don't plug and play guys like that. Trust me. Like Dax Hill. Is there another 5-star safety that we have that I was unaware of? Do we have another, 2 other
It doesn't
NFL
mean they're
pass
ready
rushers
to
to
play.
replace?
It
Like,
doesn't mean
you know
they're
what I
ready
mean?
to play. We can't so just because Michigan recruits well, just like, well, hey, we just lose guys, we plug guys in. It's like, I'm sorry, like one of the biggest hangups that I think that Harbaugh has had, right, is not recruiting. He's always recruited very well.
Very well.
Brady
Since the
Hoke
day he
recruited
stepped on
very
campus.
well, right?
Mhm.
Recruiting's not the issue. Player development has been questionable at times.
Mhm.
Not for everyone. So don't throw examples like Devin Bush and et cetera. No. I'm not saying everyone. But I think compared to our peers, right, who recruit similar to us at times, no, we can do better. Right. So you can't just be like, okay, well, we're losing a lot, but look at our recruiting rankings, we should be fine. We don't know that. Eventually we might be fine. Right. But there is a adjustment period where guys who aren't playing a lot have to cut their teeth. Sam, great point, the transfer portal, right? But you got to get those guys, right? I'm not saying that it can't be done. And when I say regression, I'm not even saying that Michigan can't be good next year, but they're going to regress initially. And it's the unknown. So, but what we do know now is that there's a legitimate opportunity.
Right.
That's why we're saying you have to
Window
take
is
advantage.
open.
Right.
You gotta take
You don't
advantage.
know what's going to happen next year,
Right.
but you definitely have signs that it could be a little tougher next year. That's what I'm trying to say.
And this was when we talked about it. This was my take on it of what next year. If I'm Jim Harbaugh, the thing I'm looking at is, yes, I'm losing those guys on defense, like we talked about, but offensively, I should be better. I mean, I don't know, with the Ronnie Bell situation, if there's potentially a 6-year there. I have no idea. Haven't looked into it, but you got Cornelius Johnson coming back. You got, JJ is presumably going to be the starting quarterback, or Cade, whatever. I've got a talented starting quarterback. I've got, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. Like, I have guys who are Andrell Anthony. Like, you've got the makings of a really good offense. And that's probably the thought process of the future, at least of 2022, is that, okay, defensively, we may not be as good as we were in 2021. Maybe we take a step back, but offensively, instead of scoring, 30 to 35 points, maybe we're 40 to 45 points. And that ends up, putting us still in at a spot to where, at the end of the season, we're playing Ohio State for the Big Ten division and, for the East division and a trip to Indianapolis, which is the goal. So I really don't care what it looks like. I don't care if our punter is the team MVP and we beat teams 3-0. Like, the only thing that matters is getting to where we want to be. And that's beating Ohio State, beating our rivals, and representing the Big Ten East in Indianapolis. So I'm with Blank Name. I think this is probably the thought process, but
Absolutely.
like you said, it just, to me, I look at college football and the way that it works. Most years there's a team that we look at that we're just like, yeah, it's probably that team. 2019 LSU, once they got past Alabama, it was just like, oh yeah, no, these guys are for real. And at that point, it was just like, all right, well, who else is just going to make up the field to get beat by LSU because they're that good? 2018 Clemson, same thing. So, but this year I truly don't feel that way, because even as dominant as, like I said, Georgia has looked, they're still flawed offensively. So the thing is at the end of the day, you look at it, the field is wide open I'm looking forward a little bit, but to win a national championship. So if Michigan can just take advantage of this week, like, granted, I get it, it's a tall task. You got to beat the number 2 or 3 ranked team, number 4 ranked team, most likely in the CFP. But it's at home. You've got a quarterback who has a lot of experience. Like, this is not, the Brandon Peters, has to play in the game, even though he's only been playing
John
for
O'Corn,
5 or 6 games. Like, it's
all
none of
season.
that. Like, literally everything is lining up the best it can in your favor, right? Like, you don't get to control what happens on the Ohio State side.
No.
As far as everything is lining up your way. Like, you've got Blake Corum, who's a little banged up, but it looks all signs point to he's going to play next week. Like, you've got the quarterback. You've got the bell cow running back that you can lean on. Donovan Edwards is back healthy at the perfect time. Like, you know what I mean? Things are lining up the way that you would like them to. So you got to take advantage, because if it doesn't happen this year, when will it? Because you're next year, CJ Stroud's going to be a returning starting quarterback with what at that point, he's probably got 10 or 12 starts now, so double that. So he's going to have 24 starts, next year at this time. Like, and you know what I mean? Like, so when this is the window. Like, this is the window to take
just
advantage
think about
of
it. Think about this, right? Think about this. I would say the best opportunities, the best Michigan teams was 16, 18, and I would say this year, right? In terms of legit opportunities, right? When this game meant a lot, high stakes, right? Both teams are ranked in the top 4, top 5, playing to get to the Big Ten title game. Like, and that's what 3 out of Harbaugh's 7 years. So, like, it's not like you have this opportunity every year. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you have to, and you just have to break through. And then also you have to understand, like, your peers outside of Ohio State. MSU isn't going anywhere. We want to point and say, laugh, ha ha. Look what happened to you guys today. Okay, they're still probably going to finish 9-3, 10-2, and they beat us, right? Penn State. There's still a less James Franklin leads, which is very possible. They're still a very formidable opponent, right? So you just can't sleep on them, right? The Big Ten East is an absolute dogfight every single year, right? And so when you are fortunate enough to to handle the storm of the season, and you get to this point where it's mano a mano to get to the Big Ten title game, you just have to find a way to get it done. At least once out of 7, 8 years, man. Right? And it is what it is. Like these 10-win seasons and all that, it's fun. It's fun getting to this point, looking forward to the game, but you got to have something to show in the trophy case. You have to make your history, your mark on history.
Well, they were the Big Ten co-division champs.
Don't do that. Don't like co-Big Ten East champions. No. Like, you have to make your mark on history somehow.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. Like, I'm having fun just as much as anybody else, but I'm tired of seeing our peers playing a Big Ten title game. I get to watch as a spectator, right? I have to watch our peers, MSU, who I hate. I know the rest of my Wolverine faithful hate MSU. I had to sit there salty in 15, watching them play Bama, even though I knew they'll get killed. Watch them, and I'm salty, thinking, like, these are the Spartans, quote unquote little brother, yet they're playing in a college football playoff while we can't even get to the Big Ten title game.
Right.
That's how I've developed this view, as well as other Michigan fans have.